No. Just
He's got a birthday and it's my wife's birthday.
All right,
Tell Sona
let's
we
get
said happy
started, ladies
birthday,
and
by the way.
gentlemen.
I will.
Notice is hereby given that due to the novel coronavirus COVID-19 pandemic and recent executive orders issued by the governor, the town of
You
Island
get to
Zoning
hear what
Board
we
of
do.
Appeals hearing scheduled for Tuesday, October 6, 2020 at 6 p.m. will be held electronically via Zoom webinar instead of an in-person public hearing and will be streamed live over the internet. Anyone interested in providing comments on an agenda item is encouraged to do so. Dated September 30th, 2020, John M. Lorenzo, Chairman. Mr. Chairman, the floor is yours.
Thank you, Mr. Vice Chairman. Good evening. Application number 557-20, Maria Consuelo Romero, permission to leave patio having rear yard of 3 feet and driveway having side yard of 1.5 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence B Districts, north side of Cliff Street, 150 feet east of Kenmore Street, Central Islip.
I haven't moved in the first applicant yet because we just had a couple of public session items that we need to address.
I'm sorry about that, Mary.
That's
And
okay.
we
That's
also
okay.
have one announcement, don't we, Ms. Pissarro?
We have, those are all the announcement is in the public session item. So before we begin, we have a request to withdraw an application on tonight's calendar. That is the application 573-20 Kasuth Horizon Avenue LLC. There's a request to withdraw the application. The applicant intends to comply with both the fence and the gate requirements and will not.
Make a motion to permit the withdrawal of the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application withdrawn.
We also have a request to adjourn application number 530-20 Christie and James Folks. We're asking for an open adjournment to continue working out some details with engineering.
I'll make a motion for an open adjournment.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application.
Mary, I'm
adjourned.
sorry, what number was that? I missed it.
That's okay.
530-20.
Thank you.
Okay, we have just a couple public session items to get to as well. Bear with me. Okay. Application number 492-18, 1069 Islip LLC. In accordance with a proposed written decision dated October 6, 2020, the application has been rendered as follows. The applicant's request to establish a pre-existing non-conforming right to have 8 fuel dispensers on the subject property is denied. The request to erect 8 fuel dispensers instead of the permitted 4 is denied. And the request for permission to erect a gasoline service station canopy leaving a front yard of 32 feet instead of the required 35 feet is granted. On motion of,
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
application number 393-20, Darius Rizkowski, 11 Livingston Street, Bay Shore. In accordance with a proposed written decision dated October 6, 2020, the application is granted as to the front yard setback of the 2 accessory structures, denied as to the requested height of 22 feet instead of the permitted 18 feet of one of the accessory structures, with the remainder of the application having been withdrawn by the applicant. On motion of,
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. Messina recusing.
Oh, yep.
Application number 168-20, Joseph Guadagno. The board is in receipt of a request to reopen the hearing held in the and reserved on February 25th, 2020. The board has voted to deny the request to reopen that hearing on motion of,
Motion. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
okay. We are, oh, and I'm sorry, and one last thing, 2 accessory apartments need to be renewed and transferred to new property owners. They are applications number 387-20 and 556-20. A motion to renew their apartments for a period of 3 years is needed.
Motion.
Motion.
No, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. We can start the public hearing now. I'll get to the attendees.
Great. Would you like me to read that, the first application again, or do we have it on record?
We have it on record. I just need to move the representative into the panelist.
Thank you, Mary.
It's all right. Thank you. Here she comes.
Sounds like a party going on over
Hmm.
That's probably my house.
there.
I'll be right over, Mr. Sullivan. Sounds like fun.
It's all kids. I'm sure you don't want to come.
You're right. You can come here if you wish.
Yes, please.
Doors open.
All right, Roxanne, we're ready for you. Maybe you don't know, the chairman read the first application for Maria Consuelo Romero.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York.
Good evening,
Uh,
Roxanne.
Good evening. Our first application is permission to leave a patio having a rear yard of 3 feet and a driveway with a 1.5 side yard setback instead of 4 feet.
Great. The driveway only seems like a little portion of it. You can't see where it is on that, but
Yes, it's just on the
on
side. that
the
goes-
side right there. And
Yes.
the patio in the back, 3 feet instead of 4 feet, that seems de minimis. Does anyone have any questions on this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you.
Application number 558-20, Marlene Corvedo is permission to establish accessory apartment pursuant to Town Code, Section 68-602, and to leave 6-foot fence on property line not having required setback of 10 feet. Residence A District, northeast corner of Stacom Street and Broadway, Brentwood, New York.
Good evening again, Mr. Chairman, members of the board. Roxanne Trella, Dynamic Expediting with offices at 1040 Terry Road, Ronkonkoma, New York. We are here to establish an accessory apartment. The owner does occupy the dwelling. The driveway has been approved. The apartment is 509 square feet. And we're also here for a 6-foot fence on a property line. And while I do know that the board does usually stick to the 6 feet being put back, I just wanted to point out there's a few special circumstances on here. It is a corner lot, but the house is set back 35 feet, and the fence doesn't begin at the front line of the dwelling. It begins all the way at the end of it. So it actually is 63.7 feet from the primary front. And then we have the side fence on the second front yard, but there is a full sidewalk. There's grass, then there's sidewalk, more grass, and then the fence. I did send a photo to Deirdre, which she is pulling up now. So it's not in the site triangle. It doesn't affect any kind of view. It's really set back. There's sidewalks there. So I just wanted to point out the circumstances of this fence.
Yeah, unfortunately, Mr. Trella, you know that most of the time it's not about site triangle. It's about the code that the board, the town board has changed recently in the past few years, that 11,250, we go up to 12,000. This property is over 15,000 square feet. So we say no to this all day long on that.
Okay.
The unfortunate part is your client willing to either cut it down to 4 feet or
Yes.
move it back?
Yes.
Very noble attempt, however.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Very creative.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
The chairman, I move to grant the accessory apartment for a period of 3 years and to deny the 6-foot fence on the property line and grant the remainder of the application. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted and denied. Application number 559-20, Carlin B. Grosso and Philip E. Perugine. Permission to leave awning attached to dwelling, 5 foot by 22 foot, having side yard of 9.5 feet instead of required 18 feet. And to leave shed with attached awning having side yard of 2.1 feet and rear yard of 3.1 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence AA District, west side of Ormond Avenue, 159.08 feet south of Shore Drive, Oakdale, New York.
Good evening.
Let the record know that I'm going to have to recuse myself on this application.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'll conduct the hearing then if you wish, or you
Please.
want to conduct the hearing?
Oh, you could do it, sir.
Okay, your call. All right. Ms. Trella,
Yes.
floor is yours.
Okay, so we have here a shed with a awning attached to it in the rear of the property. I did send in photos to planning to show that this rear, this is, oh, she's, okay, there we go. So it is specifically to cover the propane tanks that are used for her main stove. It is not for outdoor living. It is not, used for any other purpose than to keep.
Can I
the
just,
tank
I'm
cooler.
sorry, can I interrupt, Mr. Vice Chairman? That's an awning?
It's considered an awning. It's attached to the shed. It's part of the shed. It's made specifically to cover the equipment. But I guess because of the wording on the survey, they had to write up the denial this way.
Okay, thank you.
I see the fence there, Ms. Trella. How much room is there between the fence and the property line
It's 6.3 feet.
from the fence?
Yes.
I mean, yeah, because one of the concerns clearly would be runoff, right, from that roof.
Correct. And I did have the neighbor on that side of the fence. They did say that they were going to email a letter of support to the zoning board. They did email me a copy. I don't know if the zoning board received their copy.
Okay.
It was going to be emailed.
It was
Board
going
have
to
any-
be
does-
emailed, and they also, I think, were going to give a call in, and just because I don't think they were able to log on, they were still at work.
Okay, I do have a Post-it note on the file that says backyard neighbor at 177 Shore Drive in full support.
Okay. Planning, any comment?
Because this awning and the awning, I know we didn't get to it just yet, but this is the other awning over here. They're both not habitable spaces. It's not like there's gonna be a party thrown underneath them or used for anything other than the storage. I really don't have any objections to it.
The board have any other questions? Anyone on the audience wish to be heard on this application? There being none, Mr. Wexler, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, none. Application granted. Thank you, Ms. Trella.
Thank
Mr.
you. Have a
Chairman,
good night.
The time
Happy
is
belated,
yours once again.
Roxanne.
Oh, thank you.
Hope you had a great day.
Application number 560-20, John J. DePrima and Kelly A. DeRosa. Permission to leave deck 4.4 feet by 13.7 feet, having rear yard of 1.5 feet, pond having rear yard of 0.75 feet, and shed having rear yard of 3 feet instead of required 4 feet each. Residence A District, southeast corner of Huron Drive and Axon Boulevard, Bay Shore, New York. Anyone
Good
here in this
evening.
application? Good evening.
You guys can hear me.
You can hear? How are you?
Hi, it's Christine. Christine from Accurate Dining. Offices at 286A Belmont Avenue, West Babylon, New York. I have a client who put in a permit for a pool, and these items came up. They bought the house like this. There's a deck, a small deck that's flush. I submitted photos. There's a small pond there, and there's a shed. So we'd like the board to consider granting this application.
Why would you put a deck in the middle of nowhere?
They didn't put it. They bought the house that way.
Oh, I
Yep.
see. It's a platform for the barbecue.
Oh, all right.
Right.
Yeah, I see it now too. Okay.
It appears to be on grade, right?
Yes,
With the
yeah.
ground, correct? Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application
Thank
granted.
you, guys. See you next week.
Take care. Application number 561-20, Jamie C. and Amy Tamburo. Use dwelling for two family use only pursuant to ISO Town Code 68-419.1, Residence A District, northwest corner of Chicago Avenue in the Harrisburg, Bayshore, New York.
I'm here.
Good evening. How are you?
Good. How are you? I'm sorry. I think I hit the wrong button for the video. There we go. Okay.
That's okay. We can hear
There we
you.
go.
Name and address for the record, please.
Jamie Tamburo, 1460 Chicago Avenue, Bayshore, New York, 11706.
So you're here seeking permission to use dwelling for two-family, family use only.
Yes, sir.
I've been told the criteria is based on age. Who's living with you?
Yes. My father.
And how old is he?
Oh, geez. He was born in 6/2/46. So what is he, 70?
74, 75? 74, right?
We'll do the math for you too. No extra charge.
Oh, I appreciate that.
All right, Mary, I'm assuming everything else is in order?
Yes, our notes say that Charles is 74, Jamie.
All right, good.
We won't tell him you didn't know.
Let's listen. I didn't know it was gonna be a test.
The only reason I knew is because my old man's 70, he was born in 45, so I knew that.
Okay, so it's close. Yeah.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Sullivan, I'll take a motion.
Mr. Chairman, I move to grant the application.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you very much, guys.
Have a good night, sir.
All right, I can log off, right?
Yep.
Yes, sir.
All right, thank you. Bye-bye.
Mary, am I good? You still need
Agree
me?
to go, Mr.
Dan,
Sullivan?
Dan, hold on a second. For the record, though, that last application is two-family, family use only. I don't know if you need to. For the
For a
record.
period of 3 years.
All right, good.
Mary, am I good now?
Bye, Dan.
I'm good.
Bye-
Thank you,
bye,
guys.
Dan.
Good night,
Bye,
Mr.
Dan.
Sullivan.
Dan.
Happy birthday,
any-
Tony.
Listen, if anything comes up in the next hour and you need me, just send me a text. I can pop back in.
Is it your birthday?
My wife's birthday.
More
It's even
important.
worse.
Congratulations.
Enjoy.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
Yeah.
Bye.
Application number 562-20. Alex Lipsky and Michelle Goldman. Permission to elevate dwelling, leaving side yard of 13.9 feet instead of required 14 feet, and to erect roofed over deck, all having floor area ratio
Just lost it.
39.5% instead of permitted 25%. Residence A District, west side of Sunset Drive, 280 feet south of Montauk Highway, St. Louis, New York.
Hi, can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Hi, my name is Alex Lipsky. I'm the owner of 16 Sunset. This is my wife, Michelle. This is my first experience with any public hearing, so please excuse any improper comments.
Problem.
Purchased this property from my grandparents 3 years ago, and we're about to add from 3 generations to 4 generations. My wife is giving birth in 2 days for a C-section, so this is officially going to be a 4th generation house in my family. Very excited about that. I'm here for 2 reasons. From what I understand, we have 2 variances that we're looking for. The first one has to do with the side yard. Is that correct?
Yep.
Okay. Permission to elevate dwelling, leaving side yard of 13.9 feet instead of required 14 feet. And that is correct. The existing side yard is 13.9 feet. It's been like that, from what I understand, for over 60 years.
Yep.
We are not looking to extend that. All we're trying to do is raise the house. The house had substantial damage from Hurricane Sandy.
Sure.
We lost all the floor insulation, the first floor wood flooring, the oil tank, electric. So we're not trying to change the side yard in any capacity. All we're trying to do is raise the house.
And that, what you're asking for is de minimis, and we see that a lot. So you're also asking for a roofed over deck, which raises your floor area ratio. Although the code states 25%, we allow up to 30 every week, and you're at 29.5. So I'm assuming that the board's going to see fit to that also.
Okay, yeah, that's correct.
I believe, Mary, did we have?
We do have a neighbor who expressed some concern in response to the public notice that she received, the adjacent neighbor to the north. She really just wanted some help in understanding how much higher the house was going to be after the work is done. So the plans were emailed today to Deirdre, and Deirdre, maybe you can help us understand that.
Well, is that neighbor here to speak?
She tells us in her letter here, she's 83 years old and she can't access the technology. And as you are aware, when we switched to this virtual format, we did encourage pre-hearing communication, just so that we can try to address some of these concerns.
Yep, I just wanted the record to be clear.
I think it's quite addressable, so it's worth just noting.
Well,
And just to record to be clear too, they're not here for asking for any height, but we're just explaining it to the neighbor for the record. Deirdre, go ahead.
So I believe these are the elevations that got sent. Trying to zoom in a bit more, but I believe it's not even being raised a very large amount. It's still within code of what they're allowed to be for the height. So
Looks like is it correct, Alex? It's going up about 2 feet from where it was?
Yeah, I forget, it's 2 or 3 feet. I think the total is going up to 29.5 as the top elevation.
Right, which is well within the height. And that's measured almost from grade, so.
that's existing is the red, and then right up here is what it's going to be.
Alex, is that you posing on the porch?
Yeah, that's definitely me.
And the deck in the rear right now is just a little bit off the ground, and you're only raising it an additional 2 feet. Not that you're asking for permission to erect the deck, but the neighbor had concerns about her privacy, but it's only going up 2 feet in the air, right? Oh, and then you're adding a balcony. Has that
I
always
think
been-
that's what her question was. Yeah, the second floor balcony, or the, I think it's called a deck.
Deck.
Yeah,
But
That
it's,
complies.
but the setbacks are within that provided for by the code, am I correct?
Correct, yes.
Sure.
Okay,
All right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
motion to approve the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, everyone.
Application granted. Have a good night, sir.
you have a good night too. Thank
Say
you.
hi to your dad.
Thank you.
Hi, Michelle.
So really quick, I'm getting old when Alex used to be running around Kiwanis Club in Sayville as like a little tiny kid. Real small.
You're not that old. You just look old.
I definitely am. I'm getting old, buddy. I'm getting there. Thank you, though. Application number 501-20, George and Diane Cremidis. Sorry if I butchered that. I apologize. Permission to leave deck 2.5 feet in height, having front yard of 39 feet instead of required 40 feet. Decorative pond in front yard when only permitted in rear yard, and 6-foot fence having second front yard of 1.8 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence A district, northwest corner of Indian Head Drive, 370 feet east of Karen Drive, Sayville, New York. Anyone hear this application?
Good evening,
Yes,
Mr. Chairman.
Good evening.
Amy DeVito with Woodhull Expediting.
How are you tonight?
Good, how are you?
Good.
And it is Cremitas, you said it right.
All right. I tried my best.
So I'm Amy from Woodhull Expediting with offices at 1031 Main Street in Port Jefferson, 11777. So we were originally heard last month, and we requested an adjournment to this date to just find out some more information. The question was what the square footage of the lot was, and since it's not a perfect squared off lot, I just wanted the surveyor to calculate it. As it turns out, the lot is 15,908 square feet, which is more than the 11,250 that we had discussed previously. So if I may, I will just reiterate my testimony from the previous hearing. This fence has, been at the premises for at least 20 years. It does provide privacy for the rear, what functions as the rear yard, which is why they want to maintain the 6-foot fence. The fence itself is set back quite a few feet from the pavement. I would say, just based on what I could see from the aerials, about 10 feet. No less than 8 though. It doesn't create any obstruction to traffic or anything like that. I did find, not found, but I actually was part of a hearing back in February where a 5-foot fence was granted on a corner lot, so a second front yard, which was just 1.2 feet instead of the required 10. And that lot is actually about 21,000 square feet. That was the Miller residence, known as case number 948-19 from February 11th, 2020, which was granted.
But
And
that was a shadow box fence, correct, Amy?
Yeah, it was a 4-foot stockade with a 1-foot piece of lattice on it. But, it's still the same, what's the word I'm looking for? Screening that a regular 6-foot, or 5-foot, in that case, stockade fence would provide. That concludes my testimony. I'm happy to answer any questions the board may have.
So the 948-19, was that within 500 square feet? I couldn't, it jumped in and out. I apologize.
Within 500 feet of this premises?
Yes.
Not within 500 feet, no.
500 feet of premises. So unfortunately, the code states you can have 100-foot arborvitaes, but not, well, it doesn't state that, but
Yeah.
you can have a 4-foot fence and put 100-foot arborvitaes behind it. But you can't have a 6-foot fence. And I know it sounds silly, and I'm not trying to make light of the situation, but we see these every week and we deny them every week. So for us to say yes to your client with no real supporting argument is difficult for us.
Right. I understand. And I know that you guys are very strict on this code. And I understand the.
We just denied one about 10 minutes ago.
I actually just walked in my door. I just made it. When I walked in, you guys were calling my case, thankfully. So I didn't witness that, of course, but I understand. And like I said, the only thing I could say is that, with 948-19, although it's not within 500 feet, this is a townwide code, not necessarily relevant to particular zones. It is townwide, and in this case, even though it's more than 500 feet away, it was approved.
Okay.
Just so the record's clear, we hold to our 500-foot radius rather assiduously. So,
Okay. So can I, before we close this, can I just take one moment just to double check the radius? If you guys could just give me literally a minute. Is that okay?
We'll give you a minute. Yes, we'll give you a minute.
Okay.
starting now,
Do the
and
count.
I have a Casio. Your time, don't laugh, your time's going. 50, 49.
Don't count until it's down to 10.
Can you drive past Cedar on the way here and notice if the general is still there? Drive down Cedar on the way here.
No, it's not. I can confirm it's not. I just didn't want to say for sure until I double checked, but yeah, no, it's not within the 500-foot radius.
The front yard setbacks de minimis. Deirdre, on the pond, we're okay.
Yep, no objections to the pond or the front deck.
Great. So they're gonna have to either cut down the fence to 4 feet or move it back into the
Yeah.
required location.
They'll have to do that. Otherwise, their pond is going to be exposed to the street side, which obviously could be a potential safety issue.
Sure.
Okay.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to deny that part of the application with respect to the 6-foot fence and grant the balance.
Second,
All in favor?
I,
Okay,
great
thanks for the consideration. Good night, everybody.
Thank you.
Application number 563-20, Nicole Sharkey, permission to establish two-family families only pursuant to section 68-419.1 to erect one-story addition, leaving side yard of 10.67 feet, instead of required 14 feet, and front yard of 37.8 feet instead of required 40 feet. Second story addition, leaving front yard of 37 feet instead of required 40 feet. Additions resulting in gross floor area increase of 40.6% of the existing dwelling instead of permitted 33.3%. leading floor area ratio of 32.08% instead of permitted 25%. Residence AA District, east side of Astor Drive, 295 feet north of Versa Place, Sable, New York. Anyone here for this application?
Second call.
No, he's here.
Hello?
Hi, Charlie.
Oh, there we go. Hi, everybody. Mr. Chairman, members of the board.
What's going on, bud?
How are you?
Well,
As stated in the call, yes, the homeowner seeks permission to construct a one-story addition and a second floor addition to the existing dwelling for a two-family use, and is requesting side yard setback of the 10.67 instead of the permitted 14, along with the front yard setback of 37.8 instead of the required 40, with a FAR of 32.08%.
all right. Well, let's get right to the crux of the review, right? Go ahead.
In speaking with planning, there is a precedent for the side yard setback.
Okay.
The front yard setback, actually, if you look, the original or existing setback to the house doesn't conform. It wasn't set back at the 40 feet.
Yep.
So the garage is pulled forward. So this request is kind of in between the two setbacks.
Okay. So,
And again, in speaking with planning, I understand that there was no precedent in the area for the 32% FAR.
right, so can you get, we hold it at 30?
I can do that. I can pull that back to 30, yes.
Okay, the gross floor area increase, I'm assuming pulling it down to 30 takes that down a bit, right?
Yeah, it takes that down. The area that would be removing to cut down to the 32% was kind of that 14 by 16 in area in the back. And that was for the homeowner herself. And then part of the second floor addition is for the homeowner for closets. So the total area does come down. It's still going to be over the 33% though.
What percentage will it be at?
It's going to be between 35 and 36. And only because the odd shape in order to try to get this to work.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask Deidre a question? I don't remember ever seeing in an application where it's limited to, where this says 33.3 instead of increased floor area ratio of 40.6% of the existing dwelling instead of 33.3. What is there some sort of percentage allowance the town code grants when you enlarge?
For the gross floor area, they allow up to the 33.3. So like 1/3 you can add on of gross floor area to your existing house. So they're going over that. But there's not a lot of cases, I think, from when I researched it that kind of dealt with that. It's kind of rare that this comes up.
I think, Mr. Wexler,
What is
the difference is between gross floor area as opposed to floor area ratio.
So floor area ratio is the footprint of the house on the property. So that's the 30%, but gross floor is counting every single floor and totaling that up. Does that make sense?
No.
One is interior, one is exterior, right? Essentially.
Kind of, yeah. It's like
Explain that again. Yeah.
so the FAR would be taking just the footprint of, like, let's say the original house, the 27 by 41.3, that square foot in relation to the whole parcel. So the 125 by 105. The gross floor area would take, because it's a 2-story house, the 27 times the 41.3 and multiply that by 2. And then that would be the gross floor area. So it's every floor.
How come this doesn't come up in I've never seen this in my years on the board.
And to interrupt a little bit, we've seen a few of these. I've seen one of them on my time on the board too. And I think there is some precedent in the town of this scenario of being in the upper 30s, correct, Deirdre, or no?
Yeah, there's a few. when it's been included with FAR in the past, from what I saw, a few of them I was able to research, they were asked to bring down the FAR to 30 so that the gross floor area would also come down. Usually those kind of went hand in hand, but there was not many that even just had just the gross floor area.
DJ, if I could just ask one more question. If we limit the FAR to 30%, does the other number become relevant, really?
It would still be above what's permitted, but it's still, the FAR I feel like is more important because that kind of comes up a bit more than the gross floor area.
All right, I'm confused, but that's okay.
They're
It doesn't
just going to
matter.
be, Mr. Wexler, they're just going to be a little bit over the 1/3 expansion that they're allowed by code, right? They're going to be in the 30s. They're allowed 33%, 0.3%. They're going to be in Mr. Booty, if I believe I'm correct, he said somewhere between 35 and 36%. Is that what you said, Mr. Booty?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, so they're just a shy over what they're allowed for the expansion of the dwelling.
For
Okay,
gross
I'm
floor area.
good. Thank you.
Yeah,
That
and they're
makes sense.
they were also at 32% on FAR.
But they're coming down to 30, Mr. Monsieur.
Right. I'm saying as proposed.
As opposed, yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, you're right. You're correct. Okay, so we're all good?
Yep, thank
Anyone
you.
wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application
Second.
at 30%. Deny as requested, but grant 30% FAR.
Oh, there is somebody that wants to be heard.
Oh.
I'm sorry. I've been asking him to start his video. Mr. Krempa, if you want to be heard, I've moved you to panelist. Perhaps you don't. There's a neighbor who called today to express concern about the side yard setback or about the application, I should say, and it is the neighbor who is adjacent to the south. He's been moved to the panel, and I've been asking him to start his video and unmute himself if he wants to be heard, so perhaps he does not. Oh, there we go. Hi.
Still on mute.
Yep, Mr. Krempa, you'll have to unmute yourself. You look happy. That's good. There we go.
How you doing? I just wanted to listen in. I don't have any objections to
Oh, good.
to what she said.
Excellent.
I just wanted to understand. I found the whole thing interesting, just listening. So I do not have any objections.
Great. Thank you.
You got
Have a
it.
great day, sir. Thank you.
Thank you,
right.
everyone. Sorry about that.
I'll renew my motion. I'll make a motion that we deny the application as presented with respect to the 32.08 floor area ratio, but grant 30% instead and grant the remainder of the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted.
Thank you very much. Have a great night.
Have a great night, Ms. Rudy.
Thank
Hi,
you.
Charlie.
Application number 564-20, Joseph and Maria Moyles, permission to erect second-story addition leaving front yard of 23.5 feet is required 30 feet. Residence A District, north side of Manhattan Boulevard, 74.34 feet east of 6th Street, Isle Terrace. Anyone here in this application?
Yes. Mr. Moyles, you may have to unmute yourself. We've moved you into the panel. Here we go. Okay, your video is going. You just have to, there we go.
Okay.
Good evening.
Good evening. Thank you.
Name and address for the record, please.
Okay, this is Joseph and Maria Moyles, 87 Manhattan Boulevard, Islip Terrace.
How are you tonight?
Very well, thank you. A little bit stressful trying to multitask here. I'm still on my job.
Okay, go ahead.
Well, we'll make this as quick as and painless as possible.
Thank you so much. Appreciate that.
All right, you're here seeking permission to erect a second-story addition, leaving front yard of 23.5 instead of required 30. It appears that the dwelling now, the one-story frame dwelling from the survey holds 23.5 now. So you're going directly above the dwelling that we have, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
All right, so you're not encroaching any further into the front yard.
No.
Great. Deidre, I'm assuming no objection?
No
Planning?
objections.
Yeah. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wax, I'll take a motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted, sir. Have a good night.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
Application 565-20, Michael Carney, permission to leave driveway having side yard of 0.6 feet instead of required 4 feet. Residence A District, south side of Mark Drive, 175.61 feet west of Grundy Avenue in Holbrook. Anyone here in this application?
Just have to unmute yourself, Michael.
You have to get a voice.
Hello, guys. You hear me now?
Good evening, we hear you. Name and address for the
Good
record.
evening, everybody. How's it going? Hope everybody's nice and safe and healthy.
We are.
Okay, so I'm not too good with the whole Zoom thing. This is my first time ever doing it, so
You
just
look great. You're doing fine. Just name and address for the record, please.
Sir, your name and address, please.
Oh, I'm sorry. Michael Carney, 36 Mark Drive, Holbrook, New York,
Great.
11741.
So you're just looking, part of your driveway is a little bit too close to your property line?
Yes, correct.
It appears it etches in a little bit south on the property, but it holds some, it holds it pretty much close to
Yes.
coming up the north.
Correct. And I just was hoping to just leave it like that. I like it the way it is. I was hoping that would be okay.
Sure. Deirdre from planning, any objection from planning?
No objections.
Right. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Application granted, sir. Have a good night.
Sir, did
Oh,
you?
great. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it.
Mr.
Thank you.
Carney?
Say again?
Did you just buy this house, Mr. Carney?
Yes, 1 year ago, we closed in August.
And from whom, may I ask?
What was the name, babe? Ruth Mackenzie?
Okay.
Why, do you know them?
No, I grew up with a friend that spent a lot of time on that block, so I was curious as to whose house this used to be.
Oh, yeah. You know, they had 6 kids. The lady had 6 kids here, so you never know. I forgot the last name, though. I can't remember.
Okay. Have a good day.
Have a good night.
Thank you very much.
Take care, guys. Take care.
Thank you.
Application number 566-20, John and Jennifer McCourt. Permission to erect 2-story addition, 19.5 feet by 28 feet, and roofed over porch, 7 foot by 28 feet, leaving side yards of 10.8 feet instead of required 14 feet each, and total side yards of 21.6 feet instead of required 28 feet. Residence A District, west side of Hollywood Drive, 199.42 feet northeast of Middlesex Avenue, Oakdale. Anyone here on this application?
Yes, hi. John and Jennifer McCourt, 68 Hollywood Drive, Oakdale.
Great. How are you tonight?
Very good. How you doing?
Good. You want to state your case or you want us to?
Well, like you stated, we're looking to come out a few feet, and it doesn't have the 14-foot setback, but neither does the existing house, and we're just coming out and up for a second floor.
So you're going directly over the footprint you have now, correct?
Yes.
All right. And that's.
But Mr. Chairman, it looks like they're going out a little.
Coming out in the front, yes, but not any wider than the existing footprint.
Yeah, the survey does show 11 foot and the cost is 10.8, but
Yeah.
I don't know, everyone's survey tools are a little bit.
The 10.8 is towards the rear of the house. It's not even where the additions
Oh,
go.
I got you. Okay, I see that. So it's 11.2 where your proposed addition is, right?
Right.
Yes.
Gotcha. We learn with all these surveys every week, so I apologize about that. Great. Did you any objection from planning?
No objection. There's precedent for side yards in the area as low as 7.9 and 8.2.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night.
You too. Thank you.
Application 567-20, George J. and Angel Masick. Permission to leave second story addition having front yard of 39.7 feet instead of required 40 feet and side yard of 9.5 feet instead of required 14 feet. delete pool patio having second front yard of 28.7 feet instead of required 30 feet, and rear yard occupancy of 42.8% instead of required, permitted 30%. Residence AA District, southeast corner of Greenbelt Parkway and Spiral Road, Holtzville, New York. Good evening.
Angel and George?
Yep, can you hear me?
Yes,
Okay, good. I thought it booted me off, but I guess you were adding us in.
yes, I just moved you from the attendee to the panel.
Great, okay, I'm putting my video on now.
How are
Okay,
you tonight?
hi, how are you guys?
Good. Name and address.
Where in the town of Islip are you right now? I'm looking at the
Oh.
background.
I got some backyard, don't I?
Yeah, wow.
Oh, my name is Angel Masick, 347 Greenbelt Parkway in Holtzville.
How are you tonight?
Good, thanks. And you?
Doing well. You're looking for permission to leave a second-story addition. Excuse me, having front yard of 39.7 instead of required 40. That seems de minimis. Side yard is 9.5 instead of 14. I believe did the house hold that?
Well,
Right.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Okay.
We had originally been granted the 10-foot on that. We have from, I guess it's 647-04 that we had been in front of the board before. And then I guess it got built with that half a foot. It went 10, it was supposed to be 10, it went 9.5. So that's where we fell into issue
How
there.
did it become 9.5 and when it's supposed to be 10?
I guess when it was constructed, the builder, something about off of a foundation versus a yard, I'm not even sure, because blew a fit when I found out it was a half a foot off. But it's built 9.5 instead of at 10.
Okay. The pool patio seems just to have the 28.7 on that one curve that flares out there. Is that correct?
Yes, I did send pictures in case you wanted to see. I dealt with an Aldi, awesome gentleman, and he was
yes.
helping me. He helped me map this all out and then told me what pictures I should send in, just so you got the gist of where the curve is. And, this is 14 years that we had this done, and,
Yep.
trying to put this to bed.
So you have a rear yard occupancy of 42.8 instead of permitted 30. We normally allow up to 40%, not 42.8%. Do you have any precedent of a rear yard occupancy of over 40% from the town within 500-foot radius? If not, we're going to have to hold you to the 40%. So you'd have to take 2.8% away to make that work.
Okay. If that question was for me about precedent, I did not research that. I don't know that.
Okay. Deirdre, any precedent for rear yard occupancy?
No precedent for rear yard.
I would point out to the board that this is a corner lot, so it is one of those lots that's a little bit penalized because there's an excessive second front yard there.
I was just going to say that the way this property is, I'm not sure I have too much of a problem with it because of the second front yard and the corner lot that it is.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
And Aldi and zoning, when he was trying to help me with this, he said, you go on a curve, the way it curves, he said it's so difficult with these calculations that he had to, run it back through and check the numbers. He said he thinks that he doesn't even know if those numbers were right. Because I don't know who did the rear occupancy numbers, but he had said, first they came up higher than it should have been. He submitted it back to you guys as a little bit less. And then he said it's just tricky because of the curve of the back.
I don't disagree with Aldo at all. What does the board feel?
I'm ambivalent.
Excuse me, I'm sorry, I didn't hear.
I'm ambivalent.
Okay. Mr. Wexler?
I'm ambivalent too. I'm like Vinny.
You poor guy.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions?
I do. Mr. Chairman, can I just maybe ask a favor on this? I believe we're going to grant this. However, I'd like somehow the record to reflect that we previously granted 10, and because of whatever mistakes, it became 9.5. I just don't know what the area holds, and I don't want to now make 9.5 the new number for that, because it is quite a bit of a relaxation. So I don't know, maybe Will can best help us. We are granting 9.5, but it's with circumstances. And you know, next week, somebody's going to say, oh, you granted 9.5. What do we do, Will?
We can certainly note that in the decision, Mr. West.
Please, thank you.
Does anyone else wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you
Application.
so much.
Have a great night.
Have a great night.
Application 568-20, David and Laura Hickman, permission to erect one-story addition, 10 foot by 24.3 feet, leaving rear yard of 14 feet instead of required 25 feet. Residence 8 District, southwest corner of Timber Point Road and Campbell Lane, East Islip. Anyone in this application?
He is here. Let's see if he needs help.
Okay, there we go.
Hello,
Good evening.
good evening. Thank you for having us. This is the first time we are ever doing it. Part of the first time is, my name is David and Laura Hickman at 74 Timber Point Road, East Islip.
And how are you guys tonight?
Doing great. How are you?
You're here seeking permission for a one-story addition, leaving a rear yard of 14 instead of 25. Definitely an odd-shaped property, and the house is catty-cornered, if you will, on the property there. So it's just a rear corner that's seeking the 14 feet, correct?
Correct.
Off of the garage.
Off of the garage, yep.
And we are a corner property, hence the odd shape.
Mr. Chairman, may I inquire, the western portion of the addition, does that comply with the 25-foot setback? I'm just trying to figure out where it complies and where it doesn't.
The western corner, I'll have about 35 feet on the western corner, and it slopes back to the 14.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, I get it. All right. No, thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
No problem. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Application granted. Have a great night, guys.
Thank you. You too. Good night.
Mr. Chairman, if I could just make an announcement, somebody has arrived on the application that at the beginning of the evening, we approved a withdrawal of. So that is David Gandolfo, and he was interested in speaking on application number 573, but that matter has been withdrawn from the Zoning Board of Appeals consideration.
Okay. Thank you, Mayor.
Okay.
Application 569-20, Brian Hamilton. Permission to erect one-story addition, 23.5 by 34 regular, leaving second front yard of 14 feet instead of required 22 feet, and to leave 6-foot fence having second front yard of 1.2 feet instead of required 10 feet. Residence 8 District, northwest corner of Connecticut Avenue and South Lawn Avenue, Central Islip, New York. Anyone here in this application?
Just promoted the applicant's architect.
Unmute. Okay. Hello?
Hello. Name and address for the applicant, for the.
Let me start my video. Hold on. Oh, okay. Dan Kissinger, I'm the architect from my address 107 Long Island Avenue, Yaphank, New York. I'm presenting on behalf of Brian Hamilton. I heard some of the earlier cases about the wood stockade fence, which I confirmed with him that we are going to move it to the 10-foot setback, as stated in the letter. As for the addition, the one-story addition, since we are on a corner lot, it was a very tricky situation where we had the existing driveway. He has a 2-car driveway, which he would really like to store his cars, keep them out of the elements. And since the house is already within the side yard setback, what we tried to do instead of doing the front yard setback for the corner lot being 22 feet, we were proposing to do 14 feet, which is what a typical side yard setback would be. And we were asking for the board to consider this for our application.
So if I can ask, Mr. Kissinger, the house is already not compliant, correct? Non-compliant.
Correct.
So you want us to continue the non-compliant or the degradation of the code? Do you have any precedent for us, because it's substantial? Do you have any precedent for us to do that?
I don't have any precedent. I know the existing house is 15.7 feet off the side yard or the second front yard. And we were just looking to get the 14 feet.
But that's quite a bit of an extension you are seeking. What is that? How many feet is that?
I'm sorry.
I don't think none of this extension will be compliant. Like if you were listening, you saw the prior one where one end was 14 feet and then we had 35 feet at the western end. I think it was the previous or the penultimate application. This, you're starting with nothing being compliant and headed toward really non-compliant, and you have no precedent.
Okay.
I don't think the property supports the variance.
Okay. If I were to propose to the client to move it back to, so at least the portion closest to the house complies, but a small portion is still past that side yard setback. Is that something?
That doesn't help me, because honestly, I don't know what small portion means.
Mm-hmm.
That's like when my wife says, eat small portions.
So Kissinger, in light of Mr. Wexler's comments, would you like a short adjournment so that you can perhaps work with planning to come back with something that might be more palatable to the board?
Yes, we would like to adjourn.
Great. Mary, what's the next adjournment date that applicant can have?
October 27th.
How does that work for you, Mr. Kissinger?
Yes.
Okay, so I'll make a motion to adjourn to October 27th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. See you then. Application adjourned.
Thank you.
Next application 530-20 has been adjourned. Open adjournment. Following application 570-20, Eric E. and Deborah L. Meyer. Permission to erect two one-story additions, 6 foot by 50.3 feet and 3 foot by 25 feet, leaving side yard of 10.5 feet instead of required 18 feet. Residence AA District, south side of 8th Street, 1,886.65 feet west of Roosevelt Avenue, Bohemian. Anyone here for this applicant?
I've promoted the architect in twice because he registered twice, I think. Chris, can you hear us? It's strange. He just went back to attendee. There we go. Chris, you have to unmute yourself.
I think you guys have me. This is Chris Heron. I'm up in a couple.
Oh, that's funny.
couple-
You both, could you possibly have registered twice? You both came in as Chris. Let's see. Let me get Chris Alvino. Chris, can you hear us? The other Chris. Okay, so Chris Alvino is the architect for this project. And he registered today, twice. And his client, Deborah Meyer, registered today once. And she's not in the attendee panel unless she came in under a device with a different name. And
Second call, Mr. Chairman.
I say we give it a second call. How's that sound? man?
Yep.
We hear someone?
Yeah, just those voices, I'm just wondering, sometimes that's the way somebody who's not too familiar with it comes in. But in the meantime, we'll move Chris Alvino back to attendee and second call.
Second call. Application 571-20 Brendan S. Malone. Permission to leave detached garage 22.37 by 29 feet irregular, having side yard of 4.18 feet instead of required 10 feet, and not having 20 feet behind the front line of dwelling, and to leave driveway on side property line not having required setback of 4 feet. Residence A District, east side of Bayshore Avenue, 300 feet south of Rockaway Street, West Islip. Anyone here in this applicant?
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Hi, Brendan Malone, 836 Bayshore Avenue, West Islip, New York, 11795. My biggest problem with this whole project was I couldn't afford to do everything at once, so I had to do it in stages. So we started with the upstairs dormer, the pool, the garage, and the extension. We originally dug the foundation for the garage, and upon inspection, there was a problem with where it was placed. So I went in front of the board to try to see if we were able to keep it there. I was denied, so we moved the foundation back to where Mr. Aldo suggested we put it. When we did that, that first concrete contractor left the job. He was too busy. He couldn't come back, so I had to hire a new one. And I had to get a new architect because the first architect's wife came down with breast cancer, and he moved out of New York. He was based out of Sayville, Carbone. So there was a lot of confusion there. We had another survey done in between. We had the call out of the fence line as well to double check that this garage was in the right place. I mean, I basically moved the foundation once. I certainly wouldn't have built it oversized. I'm just asking for leniency on everything because it's sided, it's roofed, it's all enclosed.
4.18 feet from the side yard. That's what it is. And that's your
Yeah.
problem.
Yes, sir.
It's way too close.
I certainly wouldn't have built the garage knowing that this would be an issue as far as the setback goes.
Well, but that's why you get permits before you build, so you don't have to worry about that.
I think I had 3 permits on the garage. I think maybe 4.
4.18 feet.
Well, if the garage was under 500 square feet, I believe that he'd be allowed the 4 foot, right? Is that correct?
Exactly. So I
It's
believe
it's well larger than that, Mr. Malone.
I wouldn't want. I don't need a bigger garage. I don't have cars. I don't have any of that stuff. I don't
The
want.
garage is larger than 500 square feet.
Yes, sir.
I believe.
What
it's
is the
almost
square
800.
footage of the garage?
I calculated about 785, 786.
Oh, I thought it to be 100 square feet over. I'm sorry.
Well, hold on, 20. I'm just doing a rough calculation. Times 22.37.
Well, even if you were 100 square feet.
650. Yeah, 650.
So 150?
Yep.
Yeah, I believe the issue was with the second concrete contractor that came in.
No, the
Because
issue
I
is,
wouldn't pour a
the
garage
issue
that
is
was
your
too big.
garage is
I
too
wouldn't build it.
big, and it's too close to the side yard. It has nothing to do with the concrete contractor. It's too big. You required a permit. You didn't get it, and you built it too close, so you compounded your problem.
And just following up on a Vice Chairman, Mr. Malone, unfortunately, bad contractors make bad zoning law. If we were to grant, I just made that up, but if we were to grant a variance every time a contractor put a house, a pool, a garage, we'd look like Western Queens, not even Eastern Queens. That's our problem. We understand you're in a debacle, but that doesn't make a good zoning application. It's bad zoning.
Yeah, I completely understand. I respect your point fully. The only thing, that I can say is I know you probably lie to every day. I would not build this garage oversized. There's no reason to. I don't want an oversized garage. I would not want to run into these issues. I did everything I could with this house, especially with all the permits I had on the house, as far as the building is concerned. I mean, if I didn't care, I think where the foundation was the first time, I would have left it, and that was a mistake by the first contractor. So, I mean, moving it, I want to conform to every zoning rule there is. I certainly wouldn't want to try to buck the system. So.
Let me get this straight, Mr. Maloney. You built you have permits and you have a CFC for your second story construction. And so you're here to close out I'm assuming the pool permit? Is that why this garage came up?
Yes, I'd like to close out on everything. I did everything as far as the framing inspection goes for the garage. I had Pat come out numerous times to help me out with that and to work with me on.
Can I ask one question and interrupt you for a second? If
Yes.
you got all the permits for the additions, how come you did not get the permit for build your garage?
I unknowingly did not know that I did not have the permit to build the garage. That's the problem.
Okay.
I would never not get a permit to build something on my property. I mean, I did. If you guys look at my history, I have permits. I've renewed permits through the years because I think I've had 5 years. I've had permits on the house. I'm not trying to duck anybody. I'm not trying to.
I don't think you are. I'm not.
Yeah.
Don't take it that way. We have an issue because we have people coming in front of the board all the time saying we want this detached structure this far away from the side property line. We deny that. So I think that maybe we reserve decision if the board sees fit, and we can discuss it as a board and see. We can review the area and see what we can do.
I think that's a good idea, Mr. Chairman. Make the motion.
Everyone, thank you so much.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Wex, I'll take a motion.
I'll make a motion that we reserve decision.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Come on, we have 62 days by law to render a decision. We'll do it as quick as we possibly can and get something out to you in the mail. Yes, yours. Okay.
Mr. Chairman, the second call has arrived. She was having technical difficulties.
Let's go
Deborah
forward
Meyer.
and we can grab her at the end if we have time. Everyone who was here on time should be serviced first, with all due respect.
I think that's fair.
Let me move her back out of the panel. Okay.
All right, application 572-20, Adalia A. Amaya, permission to establish accessory apartment, excuse me, pursuant to ISIP Town Code Section 68-602, Residence AA District, north side of Prospect Avenue, 625.78 feet west of Joshua's Path, Central ISIP, New York. Good evening.
Hi, good evening, board.
Name and address for the record, please.
My name is Robert Ramirez. I am the expediter, 990 Motor Parkway, Central Islip, working with Daria Maya.
How are you tonight?
Very good. And yourself?
I'm doing well, thank you. You're here seeking permission for your client to establish accessory apartment. It appears it's 602 square feet and the driveway complies. Is that correct?
Yes, sir.
Owner occupied?
Yes, it's on.
It will be owner occupied, correct?
Yes.
Okay. Mary, everything's in order?
Everything's in order. The apartment is 600 square feet and the driveway can fit 4 cars.
Great. Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Grant the application for a period of 3 years.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. 3 years.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Rios.
Thank you so much, guys. Have a blessing night. Bye.
You too.
Next application has been withdrawn, 573-20. Next application, 574-20, Christopher and Alexis Heron. Permission to erect one-story dwelling with decking having floor area ratio of 41.87 feet instead of permitted 30%. I'm sorry, 41.87% instead of permitted 30%. With decking having front yard of 16 feet instead of required 25 feet. Residence BAA District, east side of Schooner Walk, 180 feet south of Central Roadway, Summer Club, New York. Anyone hear this application?
Hi, my name is Jamie Winkler. I'm the expediter for Christopher and Alexis Heron. They are seeking to build a new house in Summer Club, Fire Island, on a 120 by 100 lot. And they are seeking a variance for excess FAR of 41.87%, which is mainly for the decking. And they're also seeking a relaxation of the front yard setback from 25 feet to 16 feet because they wanted the stairs to be on grade because the height of the house has to be, based on FEMA, it's 9 to 10 feet above grade.
Okay. Do we have, Deirdre, do you have any precedent for the FAR over in Summer Club, Fire Island?
Yes, there's, I believe I found 2 precedent for 45% and 44%. There was a few that were also high, but they were prior to the code change when they did count sheds. And I wasn't able to find how much the shed counted towards the FAR, so I didn't want to include those.
What's the planning's point of view on the decking?
No objections. It's not decking that's going along the whole entire front of the house. It's just stairs up to the front of the dwelling. So no objections.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application?
Yes, there is someone.
Okay.
Yes, I'd like to talk about this application.
You have, ma'am, you have too many, do you have 2 devices going?
I'm sorry, you're breaking up.
Yes, she does. I'll remove the other device and I think she'll take care of it.
Name and address for the record, please.
Sandra Hagler, 25 Sloop Walk in Summer Club.
How are you tonight?
This plan represents a significant increase in the footprint of the house relative to the zoning regulations. It takes up a significant portion of the property. It's very much closer to the street than the zoning recommendations allow. These are small lots. There is significant noise from houses. This significantly reduces the amount of space around the house to create buffer for noise transmission. It will significantly impact the character of the community by virtue of being closer to the street and closer to the houses next to it.
Ma'am, they're not here. Let me correct you. They're not here for any side yard setbacks. They're only in front of us for some decking just because the house had to be raised for a front yard setback to get into the dwelling because it has to be raised through the FEMA. They're also here just for floor area ratio, which there is other precedent in the area with higher floor area ratio than the applicant is seeking. So everything you're stating, I appreciate it, but they have other precedent in the area for that. And they're not here for any other variance other than FAR and a small variance for the front yard deck.
Mr. Chairman, may I just make a comment also? The house holds the 25-foot setback required in almost the entire house, except for the 16-foot deck and the 21. It looks like it's probably a ramp to get to the deck, and that's because of the raising of it and FEMA. And we've seen these before. So the house holds and maintains by code. And as you said, the FAR is within our previous grants.
Exactly. Thank you, Mr. Wexler. Did you understand that, Ms. Hagler? Ms. Hagler, can you hear us?
Yes,
Did you
you're
understand
breaking
what-
up. I can't hear you clearly.
Mr. Wexler stated, did you hear Mr. Wexler's testimony?
I did hear.
Okay, yeah, so the house holds the front yard setbacks other than the decking and holds most other setbacks. They're just here for FAR.
The problem is if there's decking closer to the other houses, people are outside on the decks on a continuing basis. There isn't room for vegetation to buffer the sound. and it creates noise for everybody around it.
They're not, ma'am, they're not here for side decking setbacks. They're only here for the front decking setback, which is at 16 feet just to get into the house. And most of the front of the house dwelling holds the front yard setback of what's required by code. So in order to get into the house, being that it has to be raised, they have to have some steps coming down, and that's all they're here to ask permission for. So they meet every other requirement.
Well, what about the fact that it's taking up significantly greater footprint than is supposedly allowed by the zoning regulations?
I don't know where you're getting that from, but there are larger footprints in the area. There's precedence for larger footprints in the area.
Well, I was under the impression that it was.
Hold on, one at a time, me first and you next. They meet side yard, rear yard, and again, they meet most of the front yard setbacks just for the decking. Go ahead. I'm sorry, I don't write the code. I'm just here. We're just here to make sure it's either varied or held, and they meet most of the code here on this dwelling. I apologize.
Okay.
All
It
right.
seems to me that if it's supposed to take up 30% of the lot and it's basically saying it's going to take over 41% of the lot, that it's not consistent with the zoning regulations.
But there's precedent in the area of 45% and 44%. So how do we tell them no when other people have been granted 45, 44, in the 40s all day long over there in that area? How do we tell them
Then
no?
why are there zoning regulations?
Okay, well, you made your point, ma'am. Mr. Chairman, I'm ready to vote if the rest of the board is.
Does anyone
I'm
else
ready to vote.
have an application? Does the board have any further questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Application granted. You guys have a great.
Thank you very much. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Application 575-20, Sean Gregory. Permission to establish accessory apartment use in an accessory building attached by breezeway where a habitable space is prohibited. To leave driveway having width of 25 feet instead of permitted 18 feet. To leave front deck 8 foot by 10.5 feet. Excuse me, having front yard of 14.5 feet instead of required 25 feet. To leave shed 6 by 8, having rear yard of 1.7 feet instead of required 2 feet. Resident Speed District, north side of Boyd Avenue, 162.5 feet west of Degnan Boulevard, Bay Shore.
Hello, can you hear me?
You can hear you. How are you, sir?
No echo or anything? I'm Sean Gregory, 15 Boyd Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Requesting permission to establish an accessory apartment. The denial indicates the area attached by open breezeway or walkway cannot be habitable space. I would just like to point out that the structure is existing. It shares a common roof with the house and was CO'd by the building division in January 3rd, 1988 as living space. Also, I believe there is town precedent for this. The front deck is actually sort of an extended porch. It's not used as a deck. There's no furniture out there or anything like that. It's just sort of a porch that kind of stretches past the hedgerow in front of the house.
I am looking at the CO and it does say in 88, addition to one family dwelling, total floor area 520 square feet, 23 by 26.3, plumbing fixtures, first floor, water closet, lavatory, bathtub. CO, January 13th, 1980.
Mr. Chairman, can I ask a question?
Sure.
Is this all existing and they're just here because of the accessory apartment application?
That's correct.
I believe.
And there's an issue whether or not the breezeway can connect to habitable space?
Correct.
But they do have.
Why? I don't understand. Maybe Will or Deidre or Vinny, what does the town care whether or not a breezeway connects to habitable or non-habitable?
I mean, I don't think it really matters. Our decision is whether or not, this is acceptable to us. I don't know that the town would care. And more important is whether or not we would care what potential adverse impact would there be on the surrounding community. And I would respectfully submit that there would be none.
Do you care?
I care, of course, and I think that it's a good application.
What about you, Mr. Chairman?
I agree with Mr. Messina. I'm not sure that, I understand what the code's trying to prohibit, but I'm not sure this is, that this application is doing that, so.
Well, I agree with both of you.
Thank you. All right, then, unless anyone wants to be heard, I'll make the motion, Mr. Chairman.
Second.
Does anyone wish to be heard in this application? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion.
Motion to grant the application
For
for
a period of 3 years.
3 years. That's what I. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Mr. Chairman, I'll be logging in, out and back in. So while you call the next application, I'll be back by the time you're ready to hear it.
Yeah, we have that second call application. That's it.
Yep.
All right.
But we need a quorum. So just let me log out and back in so that we have that quorum and we can get this done.
Great.
Thanks.
Good. Mary, I'm going to take us 1 second, really quick too, okay?
Okay, it's a perfect break time. I'll try to communicate with the architect and see if I can make sure that he gets in.
Are we live or?
Well, we're
dead?
live. We're live with the applicant, but at this moment we don't have a quorum. So and we will have a quorum as soon as Mr. Messina comes back in. Deborah, can
So
you
I-
hear us? Unmute yourself. There we go.
Hello? Hi.
Okay. We can't hear you just yet because one of the members had to step out for a moment.
Okay.
Can you help me try to figure out how to get Chris Alvino in?
Well, does he have to be in?
No.
I'm hearing other people state their cases. My apologies to the board, but honestly, I am a prompt person. I am a teacher in East Islip for the past 25 years. I've been on since 5:30 trying to get on, and it keeps kicking me off. And I know my architect, and I know that he was on. I spoke to him at 5:30. I have no idea what happened, but I am not leaving this. I am not leaving to call him because I want to get this done.
Okay. I emailed him, but he hasn't replied. So we'll do it without him
Okay.
as soon as we can.
I can't
What do
believe this. I really can't. I really was trying, and I don't know. It was, I'm on. That's all I know.
Okay, I think we can commence.
Okay.
Our chairman is here.
Vinny back in?
Hi, Mr. Chairman, board and board members. My name is Deborah Meyer, and I'm from 412 8th Street, Bohemia, New York. I lived here my entire life. My parents live around the block from me.
How are you tonight?
I'm asking permission for two.
We have Vinny back. We just need the other board member to have a quorum. I think he's signing back in right now. Just give me 1 second.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I see him trying to log back in. He had an issue.
Mary, what number is this application?
We went backwards a little bit.
570-20.
Yep.
I could-
570-20.
Mary, what was it? I'm sorry.
570-20.
Thank you.
Okay, we have Vinny.
You back?
Yep. I see him and.
Yep, thank you.
There we go.
All right, so go ahead, Miss.
Okay, so Chairman and board members, I'm asking permission to erect two one-story additions going out the side and the back. My architect made the suggestion, instead of going up like we thought we were going to, because my children are of middle school and high school age, to add more space is what we needed. And instead of spending $350,000, spending less money going out the side and back, which is going to run us probably $220. And we would get what we wanted, and we wouldn't be breaking the bank. Because when we bought our house in, what was it, 97? And for this little ranch, we spent a lot of money.
Sure.
And our options are to move, but we don't want to. Like I stated in the beginning, I'm going to be 50 years old in a couple weeks. And I've lived here my entire life. My parents live right around the corner, 12 houses from me. And I live on 8th Street my husband and I are both Connecticut graduates. I was asked by in a letter to possibly go around the neighborhood to state my case. It would be better if I took photos. I spoke to Deirdre, I spoke to Mary, but I'm not really willing to do that since I pretty much know everybody in the neighborhood, and I was nervous to do that. But I do know that people have asked, and I'm not going out far. I'm asking for 6 feet off the side, and then 3 feet and what is it? Almost 4 feet out the back?
Yeah, Ms. Marty, the situation is that your house does not hold the proper side yard setback, which is not your fault as it is, and you're asking for more. So I'm going to ask for Deirdre from planning to let me know if there's any precedent in the area for side yard relief.
There is a side yard precedent for 11.5, 6.3, and 6.7. So no objections to this.
Okay, so you have some precedent in the area for side yard setbacks, so that's in your favor. Rear yard setbacks, okay, because you have plenty of room back there. Does anyone wish to be heard in this? Does the board have any questions? Mr. Messina, I'll take a motion if you're still there. I can't see it.
Motion to grant.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you again. Thanks so much. I
Thank you
appreciate
again.
it. And I'm staying
Motion
here
to
for
adjourn
life.
the hear.
Second.
Motion to adjourn the hearing. All in
Second.
favor?
All in favor?
Aye. Thank you all.
Have a great night, guys. Thank you, Mary. Thank you, Deirdre.
Hi, everyone.
Thanks, Bill.